Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I can go ahead and get started. Turn down the music. Hope everyone is doing well on tonight. Welcome to Talking Up with Tamika. So this evening, I will be discussing the myths and facts when it comes to grief for the whole month of I'm about to say August. I'm about to say this back. For the whole month of October, we are doing a series on grief, and I believe there's something that is needed for such a time as this. It was laid on my heart for a while now, and now I have decided to go forth with it. So I thank you for those who are tuning in and for those who will tune in later. Forgive me if you see my eyes going back and forth because I'm on three different platforms and I'm a one woman show. Okay. So, again, thank you for tuning in. So, like I said earlier, this evening we're going to be discussing the myths versus the facts when it comes to grief. But before I get into that, I want to first do a little recap of last week. So, last week we spoke about the meaning of grief, which is a form of loss. Um, that could be a loss of a job, a divorce, an illness, a diagnosis, and of course, the most familiar is death. But there's so much more that comes with that. We spoke about the triggers, and we also said it's normal to grieve. It's okay to grieve. There is no right or wrong way to grieve, and the grieving process takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. So don't beat yourself up and don't allow other people to beat you up either. So healing happens gradually. So it can be forced or hurried. And there is no normal timetable for grieving. Some people start to feel better in weeks, some in months, and for others, the grieving process may measure, throughout the years. So whatever your grief experience is, it's important to be patient with yourself and allow the process to naturally unfold. Okay. So, and then we spoke about acknowledging your pain. Accept that grief can trigger many different and unexpected emotions. Okay. Understand your grieving process will be unique to you. Everyone grieves differently. And it's okay to seek out face to face support from people that you trust and who really care about you. And then support yourself emotionally by taking care of yourself physically. That means doing something for yourself. Self care is very important. And then recognize the difference between grief and depression. So, those are some of the things that we spoke about on last week. And so, tonight, we're going to dive into the myths and facts about grief and grieving. So, one of the myths, the pain will go away faster if you ignore it. That's the myth. Trying to ignore your pain, this is the fact now, trying to ignore your pain or keep it from surfacing will only make it worse in the long run. So that means if you don't deal with it, it will eventually deal with you. So for real healing, it is necessary to face your grief and actively deal with it. And like I stated earlier, many of us deal with grief in different ways. There is no wrong or right way to deal with grief. You have to find the right way, excuse me, what works for you. Okay, so what works for me may not work for you. So I may be one to write. I love journaling. So me journaling may be the way for me to get through my grief. But for someone else, it may be talking to a therapist. It may be going for a run or um, talking to a friend. There's different ways to properly grieve or to deal with grief. And then another myth is people may say it's important to be strong in the face of loss. Fact is, feeling sad, feeling frightened, feeling lonely are all normal reactions to loss. Okay. So crying doesn't mean you are weak. It's okay to cry. I've been taught that crying is cleansing for the soul, okay? Or wipe away the residue. So you don't need to protect your family or friends by putting on a brave front. Many of us, especially us women of color, we have that stigma of we are strong. And so we carry all these burdens, we carry all this weight, and it weighs us down. And it holds us back from being free. It holds us back from being who we truly are because we feel like that we have to, carry this, that we have no other choice. So showing your true feelings can not only help you, but it can help others around you. Okay. So let's move on to another myth. And if you have questions or comments, please put them in the box and I will get to them at the end once I finish. So this myth is grieving should last about a year. Now, if you was here with me on last week, then you will have heard me say there is no timetable for grieving. Okay. I gave you an example of my father. This year made 30 years that he's been deceased. And there are times when I have moments when I think about him. There are times when I have moments where have heard like my older siblings talk about their experiences with him. Those same experiences that I would never ever get, then those are triggers. And then those stir up feelings. And it's okay. It's nothing wrong with you because it's been a long time since this person passed and you having a feeling, or you feeling grief, or you feeling sad. It's nothing wrong with you. You're human. That is going to happen. Even when it comes to a job, change of a job or a loss of a job, because you're so familiar with it, you're so comfortable with it, you think back on it. You think about what things used to be. Because, for example, like I used to work at Express. Um, Not, don't get me wrong, I don't miss working at Express, but I do miss the money. I miss the way we used to get paid. Um, but I don't miss having one weekend and one Sunday off. But being a manager, that wasn't an easy job, having to deal with other people, emotions and everything that come with it. Okay. So there was times where I would think back to me working at Express because of the money, of me having a management position, me, being able to get paid every week. So if I want to spend my whole check this week, I know I got another one coming next week. It ain't set up like that right now. Okay. And so that could have caused a sense of grief. Um, Even dealing with being a caregiver. Caregivers are all, for the most part, are some of the neglected people, some of the most neglected people ever. Caregivers, because they're caring for others, and in the midst of them caring for others, they neglect themselves. And people still adding on, adding on, adding on. And sometimes it's hard for them to say no because they want to be there not only for the person they're caring for, but the people around them. Okay. So just a few examples. So getting back, grieving should last about a year. That's not true. For some people, it may be weeks. For some people, it may be a few months. And some people, it may take them a little longer. It may take them 2 to 3 years. It may take them 5. Shucks, it may take them 10. But the thing is to work through it, to not waddle in your pain, but to still push forward, to wake up and, start again the next day. And don't beat yourself up through the process. Okay. So moving on to another myth, and I'm almost done. This is like short and quick. So moving on with your life means you forgetting about the loss. That's not true. Just because you decide to move on does not mean you have forgot about what you lost, no matter what that loss is. Okay, like I gave the example about my church member and how his wife passed away, and how it was less than a year, that he started dating. And people questioned him. People talked about him. People was like, "What's wrong with you? You supposed to wait a year to do this." No, for each person is different. Each person it is different. So don't put a timetable on someone. Um, and it's I my friend got on me earlier today. She was like, "You better leave the church folks alone." But I can't help it. I'm a church girl. That's really all I know, church. And it just drives me crazy because we have these cliches that is mm, they are just wrong on so many levels. Okay, and we know that God knows best. Okay, especially if you're a believer, we know that God knows best, but that doesn't mean we want to hear it at that moment, at that time. Okay, we have to be sensitive. Sometimes the best thing is just to be quiet and just to be present. That's it. Your presence means more than anything that you can say to anyone who is grieving. I hope y'all caught that. Your presence means more than anything you can say to anyone who is grieving, no matter what type of grief it is. If it's with death, if it's with the loss of a job, if it's a divorce, because divorce is like death, if it's an illness, a diagnosis, whether it's for them or someone else, if it's a loss of a pet, okay, just be there. Be there for that person. Just be there. That's the best thing you can do. Be there. And don't tell them it's time to move on. Don't tell them you can start over. Don't tell them those things. Just hold their hand through the process. And I don't mean physically hold their hand. And there's nothing wrong with physically hold their hand. But just hold their hand. Be that shoulder. Be that ear. You don't know how much of a blessing that alone is for someone to know that they can have someone they can turn to who truly, truly have their best interests in mind. Okay. Um, so the fact moving on means you have learned to cope with the accepted loss, but that's not the same as forgetting. You can move on with your life and keep the memory of someone or something you lost as an important part of you. In fact, as we move through life, these memories can become more and more integral to defining the people we are. And so 2020 has been a very painful but yet awakening year for many of us. And there's been a whole lot of death, a whole lot of loss this year, whole lot. And it saddens me when I go through some of these comments on these people's timeline and the things that they say. It, for example, and this person said, "You'll be okay because they better off with the Lord anyway." Why would you say that? Now we know being part of this, being on earth, that death is in the cards. We know that. But we have people that we truly, truly love dearly. And no matter what the situation is, we don't want to see them go. It's hard to let go of something that you love or someone you love. Facts. Okay. And this person's like, "It'll be okay." How can you say that to somebody, that it'll be okay? How do you know it's going to be okay? And then the other thing is, when it comes to, like someone said to me, because they knew that I had lost my grandmother recently, they was like, "Oh, I know how that is. I lost my grandma too." Really? No, you don't. Just because you lost someone like a grandmother, because I lost a grandmother, does not mean you know how I feel. Because your relationship with your grandmother is different from my relationship with my grandmother. How do you know my grandmother not even got along? How do you know how I really felt about her? How do you know this? You don't. So you can't say that you know how I feel. You don't. Even when it comes to a parent, you don't know the strain on that relationship. You don't know if that person is happy or sad about their relationship. Just because they posted on Facebook that I lost my mom, I lost my daddy, I lost whomever. That doesn't necessarily mean that they feel some type of way. A lot of times they do it for attention. I'm just keeping it real. And that's the truth. But for you to say that, you don't know that. You don't know how I feel. You don't know how that person feels. So be mindful of what you say, because you can say the wrong thing and give out the wrong information, and it just goes sideways. Just be quiet. Just be present. That was not on my notes for tonight, but I don't know, I just felt it in my spirit to say that. Just stop it. Just stop with the madness, okay? For real. But ladies and gentlemen, we're in the last quarter of the year. We're about to move into a new year, God spare our lives. And this has been a tough year for just about everybody, but in the same time, for many of us, it has been a blessing in disguise as well. But I don't want us, my desire is not to get caught up in the loss, but to cherish what we had and what's coming forth. That is my desire for us. And I pray and hope that these videos that I'm doing will be a blessing to someone in some way, somehow, because the Lord put it on my heart strongly to do this. And I've been wanting to do this for a while. I even, talked about this to a friend about starting a grief group, because I think it's needed. It's not many of them around, especially for us. You know what I mean? And I think it's really needed. I really do. So many of us are suffering in silence because we don't feel like we have anyone we can trust. We don't feel like we have anyone who's really genuine and have a good heart. And so we hold it inside. We suppress it and we keep moving. A lot of us know how to function in dysfunction. Many of us know how to function in dysfunction, and it is hurting us inside. It is killing us slowly. We need that outlet. We need that outlet. So I'm letting you know that I am here for you. And anyone who know me for real, know that you don't have to worry about hearing anything that you share with me. It will go to the grave. So if you somebody who needs someone to talk to, just an outlet, I want you to know that I am here for you. I am certified in grief. I went to St. Thomas University. I studied loss and healing certification. If you need proof, I got it. Okay? I'm just saying, because I know how some of us can be. But for real, I just want you to know that I am here. I want us to win. I want us to be the best version of us. For real, for real. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Time out for functioning in dysfunction. Time out for that. It's okay to grieve. It's okay. But we have to learn how to grieve properly. Don't kill yourself in the midst of grieving because you feel like you can't let it out. You feel like you don't have an outlet. You feel like you don't have anyone to talk to. This is a season, holiday season, and we're approaching a time where many people get into deep depression. Many people, contemplate suicide. I don't want that to be us. I want us to make it through. I want us to make it through. So please, if you need somebody, call me, inbox me, email me, go to my website, tamikafussell.com. I'm here. Okay? I didn't mean to go on this long. I thought I was going to be here like 15 minutes. I see I've been on here for about 23 minutes. But yeah, I hope this has been a blessing to you. Um, I'll be here again next Thursday, Lord's willing, at 7 o'clock. Please, like, share, and go to my YouTube page. Please, people, I need some more subscribers. Come on, tell your friends, tell Lottie Dolly and everybody. Subscribe to my YouTube page at Tamika L. Fussell. Thank you very much. And check out my website at tamikafussell.com. I'm doing a masterclass on being pruned for purpose. If you tuned in, I think it was August. Yeah, August. Oh, in October. In August, I did a series on it, and I had quite a few people coming in to tune in to that I interviewed that was part of it. And now I'm doing a masterclass on it, and I'll be doing another one next month after I finish up this one that I have going on. So if you're interested, go ahead to my website, sign up for it. I would love for you to be a part of it. And that's really all that I have this evening. Um, Thank you all for those who tuned in. Thank you for those who will watch the replay. I love y'all for real. I want us to see us win, and I want us to stop functioning in dysfunction. God didn't make us for that. We can get through this. Love y'all for real. Peace.